The first stop on our summer reading tour is China. Do you know where that's at? It is a country on the other side of the world. And since it is the country that basically inspired us to read to you this summer, we figured that we would start with this book first. So China has been in the news lately, but did you know that there are a lot of famous attractions and things that are have also come out of China? Can you think of any? What comes to mind when you think of China? Well, this book will show us some more things. It's going to give us a tour through the alphabet from A to Z. Let's start our adventure to China. Before we get to the first letter, let's say ni hao. Here's the map of China highlighted in yellow. It's a large country. So, ni hao, that's how people say hello in China. China is a huge country in Eastern Asia. More than 1 billion people live there. That's about 1/5 of all the people in the world. More people live in China than any other country. Down here, do you see this? This is how you write ni hao in China, in Chinese. Chinese doesn't use letters to spell words the way that the English language does. Instead, each word has its own set of symbols called characters. Chinese characters are a little like numbers in English. When you see the numbers 2, 0, you know to say 20, even though there are no letters to help you sound it out. That's kind of how the Chinese characters work. So for A stands for acupuncture. Acupuncture is an ancient Chinese way of treating illnesses. Doctors would stick these long, thin needles into special spots in the person's skin. And the needles pinch a little at first, but then they don't harm the skin. This is a picture similar to a Chinese medical drawing from hundreds of years ago. B is for bicycles. Very few people in China can afford to buy a car. Many people get around by riding bicycles. They put their belongings in a basket and pedal where they need to go. Here's a fast fact. People also scoot around on motorcycles or hitch a ride on buses. For travel between cities, people often take the train. C for calligraphy. Calligraphy is the ancient art of writing with a brush dipped in ink. Many people in China hang poems or sayings written in beautiful calligraphy on their walls. Another fast fact is that some Chinese characters have as many as 26 lines, which must be made in the correct order. This right here, this calligraphy is for the character Fu, which means good luck. And speaking of good luck, let's see what D has to say. D is for dragon. The Chinese dragon does not breathe fire. In China, the beast is a symbol of good luck. The colorful creature is said to bring money and fame, and it also brings rain for farmers. Down at the bottom is another fast fact. It says people decorate rowboats to look like dragons, like right here, for the yearly Dragon Boat Festival. E is for Everest. Here's Everest, the top of the mountains. In Tibet, along China's southern edge, rises the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. Its icy peak stands 5.5 miles above sea level. Many people have died trying to climb the mountain. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the first people to reach the top in 1953. The interesting part about this is that the border of China and Nepal, that's right through these mountains. Another fast fact is that along with mountains, China's landscape includes hot deserts, treeless plains, so just flat ground, and green meadows. About half of China's land is too hot or too cold for many people to live on. Huge country. F is for their flag. Now on the screen, this looks a little bit orange, but it is red. So the large yellow star of China's flag stands for their government. And then there's 4 smaller stars that represent China's people. The red color symbolizes the revolution of 1949, which created China's present-day government. G. Now, I bet this is one that you thought of when I asked, what do you know about China? G is for the Great Wall. Great Wall of China. So the Great Wall is China's most famous landscape. Nope, I'm sorry. Landmark. The Great Wall is China's most famous landmark. It's 4,500 miles long. And so it's the longest structure ever built. Ancient Chinese rulers forced millions of ordinary people to build the wall. The work was done completely by hand. That's impressive. H is for hats. See that hat? So China is the place for hats. In rice fields, farmers wear huge bamboo hats to shade their eyes from the sun while they're working outside. In colder areas, hats are trimmed with fur to keep them warm. And then merchants in the city, they wear simple cotton caps. And during celebrations, people in traditional costumes parade down the street wearing tall headdresses that sparkle in the sun. I is for incense. When heated, incense powder makes a sweet-smelling smoke, which are these lines. Buddhists burn incense during religious ceremonies, and Buddhism is one of China's main religions. Chinese Buddhists believe in life after death, and they pray to many gods to help in times of trouble. J is for jade. So in China, jade is called the stone of heaven. Jade is hard, shiny, and it also comes in purple, pink, yellow, green, and white. We think of jade as green, but there's all these other colors. Many Chinese people believe jade has special powers to bring good health and to keep evil spirits away. Parents often give their children jade gifts as wedding presents. And down below, the fast fact says in the 1700s, China was ruled by an emperor who liked very detailed jade statues. During this time, an artist might have spent his whole life working on one single piece of art. It's a long time. That's J. Go to K. I bet you've played with one of these in the past, but did you know it came from China? A kite. So Chinese people invented kites more than 2,000 years ago. The first kites were made of silk and bamboo. People wrote messages on the kites and sent them into the sky. They hoped their messages would be received by heavenly spirits. Today, flying kites is a popular hobby in China. A fast fact says that in addition to kites, the Chinese invented paper and printing, silk, fireworks, wheelbarrows, and compasses. L is for lotus root. This one's a little different, and here's a picture of the lotus root. Type of food. You can see them eating it. So lotus root is crunchy, like a carrot, but it tastes like fresh coconut. It is one of the many kinds of vegetables eaten in China. And Chinese people eat vegetables with rice or noodles, and they drink tea at every meal, and they use chopsticks instead of forks. Do you also think of chopsticks? when thinking of Chinese food? Yeah, here's a fast fact. Excuse me. Chinese food is usually stir-fried. Thin slices of meat and vegetables are cooked very quickly in a big curved pan called a wok. Have you seen one of those? Okay, M is for one of their famous people. His name, if I can say this correctly, is Mao Zedong. Something that's close. So 50 years ago, Mao Zedong was one of the most powerful people in the world. He was China's first communist leader. In a communist country, the governors own almost everything. Today, the leader of the Communist Party is still the most powerful person in China's government, but China's communist government is changing. It is allowing more and more people to open their own businesses. And N is for the New Year. Chinese New Year is an important family holiday, much in the same way that Thanksgiving is in the United States. People travel long distances to spend New Year's Day with their families. They pour into the streets to watch parades and light firecrackers. They carry huge paper dragons through the crowded streets. And another fast fact is the New Year in China doesn't start on January 1st. It depends on the moon calendar. It usually starts at the end of January. Oh, this one's different. This one's surprising. O is for opera. Does that look like an opera singer to you? Not the way that we picture opera singers, but Chinese children love to go to the opera. Do you go to the opera? So, performers in colorful robes and painted faces act out familiar stories. Chinese opera stars don't just sing, they dance, they mime, they do acrobatics too. Down here, a fast fact says long ago, Chinese operas were performed in the streets. The performers banged on gongs and drums to get the outdoor crowds to notice them. So today, operas inside in the theaters still begin with this loud, clanging sound of instruments. O is for opera, and P is for ping pong. Have you played ping pong before? So they say it a little bit different. Ping pong chu is the Chinese word for ping pong or table tennis. It is one of China's national sports. Ping pong players look like dancers as they bob and hop to hit this whizzing ball. That takes us to Q. Q is a funny one because we think of Q sounding like queen with the K sound, and this is almost like the start with a CH. So the QING, and I'm going to say this as best as I can, is more like ch. It's the Cheng or the Qing dynasty. For thousands of years, China was ruled by emperors. When one emperor died, his son or another male relative would take over. A dynasty is a period of time when all the emperors came from the same family. So this is a family name. The Qing dynasty was China's last dynasty from 1644 until 1911. And down here, this is a palace. It's from a group of magnificent palaces called the Forbidden City. This is where Qing emperors lived. So that was the palace. R. R is for rice. Did you realize all of these things came from China? So R is for rice. China is the world's biggest producer of rice. Rice is grown in watery fields called rice paddies, just as it was in ancient times. Most food in southern China is served with rice, and parents encourage children to eat every grain. They believe it is bad luck to leave a bowl spotted with rice grains. You have to eat all of it. A fast fact is China grows more cotton and wheat than any other country, too. It is also the world's largest producer of coal. So that takes us to S. S is for one of their cities. Can you guess which one? S is for Shanghai. This crowded, fast-paced city is China's largest, with more than 12 million people. The word Shanghai means upon the sea, and Shanghai has served as China's major trading port for many years. Today, it is a leading center for Chinese industry and banking. A large, large city. And T, I'm going to say this the way we do in English. The Tiananmen Square in 1989. So in 1989, thousands of students gathered here in the square in China's capital city, Beijing. They wanted more freedom from China's communist government. The students knew they were putting themselves in danger by speaking out. Many of them died when the Chinese army used force to end the protests. So this was a sad day in their history at this location. And do you remember that building that we were looking at before? Yeah, it's the big square in front of the building. U is for another thing that's part of our daily life, umbrellas. U is for umbrellas. Umbrellas in China are for keeping both rain and sun off of people's heads. Chinese have been using them for more than 1300, more than 1,300 years. China's first umbrellas were made of bamboo and oiled paper. An artist carefully painted them with beautiful, bright designs. So they may look a little bit different than the umbrellas that we use. V is for villages. So yes, China has large cities and they also have a lot of villages. So most people in China live in the villages. They work long hours all year long to grow food for the huge number of people who live in China. Much of the farming in China is still done by hand. You can see the person out there. In some areas, farmers use water buffalo to help plow the fields. What's going on there? And a fast fact, let's see here, people in villages are not as rich as people in the cities. In some villages, children have to share textbooks in school. W. W is for, and you may have heard of this, wushu. Have you heard of wushu? What's it look like they're doing? Like a form of karate, right? So early in the morning, thousands of Chinese people gather together at parks to practice wushu, or martial arts. Martial arts were invented hundreds of years ago as ways of fighting or defending oneself. Today, people also practice wushu to exercise their bodies and to relax their minds. Each kind of Chinese martial arts has its own style. Some people like the kinds that are more like wrestling or boxing, but Tai Chi looks like a slow, graceful dance. That's what they're doing here. And then X. X. See, they tell us how to say this word. So X is for Shumao. It starts with an SH instead of an X sound. Okay, so it has more of a shu. Now, the Chinese people called panda bears Shengmao, which means bear cats. Sheng means bear, Mao means cats, I think. And Chinese bamboo forests are the only place in the world where pandas can live in the wild. A panda bear needs to eat about 40 pounds of bamboo plants every day. And the fast fact says there are fewer than 1,000 pandas living in the world, in the wild. People all over the world are trying to save China's panda bears. And that's a cute photo of the panda. Almost there. We're at Y. Y is for the money. It's called a yuan. The basic unit of Chinese money is the yuan. 1 yuan is made up of 10 jiao. Each jiao is made of 10 fen. Trust me, you're not going to be quizzed on this. Chinese money comes in coins and bills. So it's kind of like how our quarters are made up of, you know, our dollars are made up of quarters. Our quarters are made up of 25 pennies. Okay, same concept here. A fast fact is that yuan bills are among the few kinds of money in the world with pictures of women on them. And that brings us to Z. Z for zodiac. And this chart has a lot of dates on it. So it's kind of complicated, but for the zodiac, the Chinese zodiac is an ancient way of keeping track of years. Each year, within a 12-year period, is given the name of an animal. For example, 2004 is called the year of the monkey. 2003 was the year of the sheep. In China, a polite way of finding out someone's age is to ask them the name of the year in which they were born. So it rotates. So there's 12 characters, and each year it goes to a different character, and then it goes back after 12 years and it does it all over again. So it asks if you can find the animal of your birth year, but because the chart's so small and you can't see it on video, I'm not going to hold it up for you. But in China, some people believe the animal tells something about your personality. Your animal is your sign. Just like here in the US, we would use Capricorn or Leo or Virgo or Scorpio to be someone's sign, right? So for example, let's say you were born in 2010, you're a tiger. 2011, you're a rabbit. 2012, you're a dragon. 2013, you're a snake. 2014, you're a horse. 2015, you're a sheep. 2016, you're a monkey. 2017 is a rooster. 2018 is a dog. 2019 is a boar. And then, of course, it's going to go back to rat or an ox. And the last one on here was 2008 was a rat. So basically in 2020, if someone's born this year, they're going to share the same sign as someone that was born in 2008. And 2009 was an ox, and then that'll be 2021. Make sense? And you just go all the way through again. So that is our trip to China. Wow, we've learned a lot today. So I'm Cassie, and I enjoyed sharing that trip around China with you. And thanks for taking the trip together. We will see you next Wednesday when we take our next trip. And this time it'll be to Australia. See you there.